Hello and welcome to TVB News. The mega sea crossing passage connecting Shenzhen and Shan in Guangdong province will be put into service on Sunday afternoon. Sources say an opening ceremony of the Shenzhen-Shan link will be attended by top central government officials on the same day. Mimosingai reports.
As one of the core construction projects in the Guangzhou, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area, the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link is 24 kilometers long. It consists of one undersea tunnel, 2 bridges, and 2 artificial islands. The entire project took 7 years to complete. This is the undersea tunnel, which is 6.8 kilometers in length. The deepest section of the tunnel is 40 meters below sea level. This is one of the 12 robots installed inside the tunnel to monitor traffic scenes under emergency situations. A massive exhaust system is placed outside the tunnel to emit waste gas. It can also be used to emit smoke in the event of a fire. For cars with 9 seats or below, the fee is set at 66 yuan. Coaches with 20 seats or more will need to pay 79 yuan. The fee for minibuses is 100 yuan, while the toll rates for trucks are between 66 yuan and 270 yuan. With the new sea crossing passage, the travel time between Shenzhen and Zhongshan will be notably reduced from the existing 2 hours to less than 30 minutes. Mainland authorities said the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link can bring economic benefits to the Pearl River Delta and facilitate the movement of talents within the Greater Bay Area. News 9, TVB News.
The government said it will reduce tolls and consider implementing a time-varying toll scheme at the Thailand Tunnel once it gains control of the tunnel next year. The franchises of the tunnel are set to expire in May next year. Authorities said the current usage rate of the tunnel during rush hours has surpassed 80%, adding that any changes to the toll must be reasonable and reduce traffic burden for the Tuen Mun Road and Tolo Highway. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Lam Sai-hung noted considerations will be made for a time-varying toll scheme at the tunnel, but stressed there will not be major toll reductions. The very hot weather warning is now in force in the city. A high temperature of 34.4 degrees Celsius was recorded in some parts of the territory today, making today the hottest day of the year so far. It was fine and hot during the day. The observatory said subtropical ridge is bringing the fine weather to the region, and the maximum temperature over the new territories will reach 35 degrees or above on Friday. Members of the public are urged to protect themselves during extremely hot days, such as drinking more water and avoiding vigorous outdoor physical activities. The 24th plenary of the Hong Kong-Guangdong Cooperation Joint Conference, scheduled for today, has been postponed, the government said. In a statement, the government said the conference will now be held in July as agreed by both parties. No reason was given for the postponement. Chief Executive John Lee is to lead a delegation to Guangzhou to co-chair the joint conference with the governor of Guangdong, Wang Weizhong. The two sides will discuss further cooperation between Guangdong and Hong Kong in such areas such as finance, innovation, and technology. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Labour Party leader Keir Starmer engaged in their last televised debate ahead of the July 4th general election. As protesters made noise outside the Nottingham venue, the two exchanged personal attacks and put forward their views on issues such as migration, taxation, and ethics. Labour is trying to end 14 years of Conservative rule. Nazvi Karim has more.
The final televised debate between the Prime Minister and Keir Starmer was Rishi Sunak's last chance to chip away at what polls say is a 20-point lead for Labour ahead of the July 4th elections. Protests were held outside the Nottingham Trent University venue, with host Michelle Hussain looking at the positive side.
If you can hear any noises off, ladies and gentlemen, or anyone at home, there is a protest taking place outside, which is also an aspect of our democracy and people exercising their freedom of speech.
Migration is a hot issue in Britain. Starmer has vowed to abolish Sunak's Rwanda plan to send migrants arriving in small boats to the African country. Instead, he wants to send them back to their home countries, which Sunak mocked as nonsensical.
Are you going to sit down with the Iranian ayatollahs? Are you going to try and do a deal with the Taliban? It's completely nonsensical what you are saying, right? You are taking people for fools.
Starmer, as expected, brought up Sunak's affluent upbringing, accusing the Prime Minister of being out of touch with the common folk.
If you listen to people in the audience across the country more often, you might not be quite so out of touch.
A YouGov poll at the end of the debate suggested the two rivals were 50-50 in their performances. Neither responded to one of the post-debate questions from an audience member who asked, "Are you two really the best we've got to be the next Prime Minister of this great country?" For some in the UK, the best is this man, Nigel Farage, whose right-wing Reform UK has reportedly overtaken the Tories as Britain's second biggest party, though they are not expected to win many seats.
I've always been a disruptor. You know, I think we have a sort of status quo. The truth is that between Labour and Conservatives, on economics there are almost no differences. On immigration there are almost no differences. And we've injected something new and fresh into this campaign. I have no doubt we are the subject of most conversations around people's breakfast tables.
Nazri Karim, TVB News.
In the run-up to the U.S. presidential election later this year, preparations are underway for the first debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, the first time a sitting president and former president have ever debated. NBC has more.
Tonight, the stage is set. President Biden at Camp David, out of the public eye for nearly a week, huddling with advisors and holding mock debates. Former President Trump back at Mar-a-Lago doing more informal prep. Today calling into a campaign event with black businessmen.
Inflation is a disaster. It's killing the black community and it's killing the country.
Tomorrow's face-off will be their first since heated clashes in 2020.
You're just this radical left. Will you shut up, man? Listen.
Hoping to avoid chaotic crosstalk, the 90-minute debate will feature muted mics when the other candidate's talking. There will be no live studio audience. Mr. Trump expected to focus on the economy and the border, while President Biden will likely zero in on abortion rights and threats to democracy, today touting the endorsement of former GOP congressman and frequent Trump critic Adam Kinzinger.
This is about defending the greatest country in the world.
Mr. Trump and his allies accusing President Biden, without evidence, of planning to use performance-enhancing drugs or even just caffeine.
Will he be on some sort of energy drinks or something, okay?
The Biden campaign says the former president is desperate and resorting to obviously false lies. For both candidates, tomorrow is a crucial test to appeal to skeptical voters who dislike both options. So-called double haters are now a quarter of the electorate.
The debate will be broadcast live on TVB Pearl starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Welcome back. Kenya's president has withdrawn planned tax hikes one day after thousands of protesters stormed the country's parliament, burning part of the building and sending lawmakers fleeing. Medics said 23 people died in violent clashes between police and protesters over the proposed bill. Tracy Furness has more.
And listening keenly to the people of Kenya, who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn, and I have agreed with these members that becomes our collective position.
President William Ruto withdrew the bill after his country was rocked by massive protests for more than a week as people opposed tax hikes in the proposed finance bill. They saw the president as reneging on election promises when he vowed relief from economic pain. Troops have been deployed to support police Tuesday night as President Ruto called the events treasonous and vowed to quash the unrest.
The spark this time was the finance bill that purported to increase taxes or strange type of taxes in order to raise money for an exorbitant budget that was making no sense. And to make matters worse, the government was not able to explain why it contradicts itself.
Some protesters said on social media that despite Ruto's climb down, they would go ahead with a rally planned for Thursday to demand the president resigns. In the US, the White House condemned the violence in Kenya, saying it was deeply concerned and called for restraint.
Continue to urge restraint so that no further Kenyans are put in harm's way while exercising their right to peaceful public assembly. That right is protected by the Kenyan Constitution, and we believe it must be respected.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
With its unique landscapes, architecture, and culture, Xinjiang played host to more than 260 million visitors. While that's a record high number, most of the tourists are from mainland China. It's hoped that more international direct flight routes will be introduced so that more people from around the world can learn about the culture and natural wonders of Xinjiang. Jackie Lin reports from Urumqi.
In the Grand Bazaar of Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang, dancing to the tunes of traditional Uyghur songs were not just the locals, but also tourists. Ms. Chuan from Shanxi said she is visiting Xinjiang for the first time. And she has heard much about its culture of dancing and singing. These tourists from Malaysia joined a 12-day tour group to Xinjiang.
The areas that I've been to reminds me of the Alps in Europe. I don't have to go to Europe to go to see the Alps. It's very much the same here, except there are too many of y'all. Too many people everywhere, so crowded. But it's all very clean and organized.
This local merchant said there are more and more tourists from Hong Kong, adding that the tourism industry is very important to their livelihoods. He said there are so many good things in Xinjiang that can be shown to the world. Summer is the peak travel season in Xinjiang. In recent years, winter tourism is growing in popularity as well. In the first quarter of this year, Xinjiang received more than 41 million tourists, with an annual growth of more than 15%. Davis Liu, president of Phoenix International Travel, which specializes in organizing Xinjiang tour groups, said in the first 5 months of this year, the number of international tourists in Xinjiang, including visitors from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, reached 1.72 million, marking an increase of 167% year-on-year. He said in a bid to attract more international tourists, local authorities have worked to provide better services, including more English tour guides. The travel industry also hopes more direct flight routes can be introduced connecting Xinjiang and other international cities so as to woo more travelers to visit Xinjiang. Jacqueline, TVB News, Urumqi.
The second Hong Kong Happy Shopping Festival will get underway on the 1st of July. The festival's launch ceremony took place today with Financial Secretary Paul Chan in attendance. Participating shops will offer discounts in phases between July and August as part of a move to boost consumption in the city. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Held between July 1st and August 31st this year, the second Hong Kong Happy Shopping Festival will involve various sectors, including restaurants, tourism, and exhibitions. Speaking at the launch ceremony today, Financial Secretary Paul Chan hailed the festival's efforts to boost local consumption and emphasized its theme of courtesy to customers to improve the city's image. The more than 160 brands and 5,000 shops involved in the event will provide discounts and coupons to shoppers, as well as over 300 free gifts and privileges with an estimated worth of around $1.2 billion. Annie Yao Tse, chairperson of the Hong Kong Retail Management Association, said many sectors are adapting to the changes in consumption behavior of tourists who are interested in exploring more of the city beyond shopping. Tse noted that despite challenging outlook for the city's retail sector, which recorded a 15% drop in retail sales year-on-year in April, the festival will help to improve the sector.
Basically, I think this program is going to help. I think this program, especially that during the summertime, because people are normally having vacations or tourists from all over the world will come to Hong Kong. So this program will definitely encourage them to enjoy their time in Hong Kong, to make more purchases.
In a bid to support the shopping festival, several e-payment platforms will offer their users special discount vouchers at designated shops at restaurants to encourage more spending. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
An exhibition celebrating the life and work of legendary Chinese-American architect I.M. Pei will be held at the M+ Museum starting this Saturday. Some of Pei's best-known works include the Louvre Pyramid and the Bank of China Tower in Hong Kong. Timothy Lee reports.
The city's iconic landmark of the Bank of China Tower, the transparent Louvre Pyramid where visitors are greeted to when entering the top French museum, and among his final works, the Museum of Islamic Art in Doha. An exhibition celebrating the life and work of legendary Chinese-American architect I.M. Pei will be open to visitors starting on the 29th of this month. Lovers of Pei's work will be able to admire his cross-cultural designs in several sections of the gala, from his time in China to the West and even the Islamic world. Some 400 items, including letters written by the architect to his parents during his studies in the United States, will also be put on display. Speaking with the press was the architect's son, Chang Pei, who held his father's contributions as a Chinese individual to the world of architecture.
My father's upbringing in China resonates throughout the world. Why? Because he really learned so much about how architecture and nature work seamlessly together. This is something that is very Asian. This notion that our buildings are living. That's one of the things that he contributed in the work that he did when he went to the West.
The younger Pei also shared some of his late father's advice for aspiring architects.
I believe very strongly in a lot of the principles that he advocated. Primarily, the importance not to try to develop a particular style of architecture, but to really design analytically by understanding the location of where the building was going to be built. So I think it's very important that architecture responds to its location, its time, and its place.
Besides having the opportunity to take a deeper look into the architect's work, visitors at the I.M. Pei M+ exhibition also have the chance to build their own Louvre pyramids with these interactive magnets. The exhibition will be open to the public until the 5th of January next year. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
In sports, the last 16 of the Euro 24 tournament has been decided, with Minnows Georgia surprising everyone by reaching the playoffs. And they did it in style with a shock 2-0 victory over favorites Portugal in their final group match. Georgia fans in Tbilisi took to the streets after the Crusaders' win over Portugal. It was their debut in a major championship, and their victory in Group F enabled them to finish as one of the top 4 best third-place teams. Portugal still advanced as group winners ahead of Turkey. Georgia faced Spain in the next round, while Portugal take on Slovenia. In other knockout matches, Germany faced Denmark, France take on Belgium, Romania play Netherlands, Austria against Turkey, England versus Slovakia, and Switzerland meet Italy. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.